So Andrew and I, we've been friends for almost a decade now, right?
7 years.
7 years. All right. That's close enough.
Round up.
You're just like kids. The kids you all round up, right? So 7 years, and we've kind of bonded over a number of different things. And so we bonded over our love of running. And we bonded over what our wives will tell us is the same ridiculous sense of humor. You can ask them. But we've really developed, a really great closeness over the past several years. And I will tell you that I was deeply moved when I heard Andrew's story. So I want to give him the opportunity to do that today. So thank you.
What's funny is I think I told you this story during we were running one time.
We were at mile 7.
Yeah, and if you're ever with Chris never stops talking. So I needed to get a word in. So I was like, well, we're on like mile 7 or 8. We got 3 or 4 more to go. I might as well tell him something to see if it'll keep him quiet. And it did. So I know Chris asked me to introduce myself. My name is Andrew Thomas. My friends call me Andy. And after today, I think you guys probably can call me Andy after today. Married to beautiful wife, Emily, going on 16 years this year. Got 2 kids, Abigail. Yes, don't worry. I wasn't going to forget you. And Everett's over here in the crowd as well. We've been coming to Church of the Midcoast now since April 1st of 2019, so going on 7 years. So I know we didn't have this plan, but you mind if I pray real quick? Okay.
Yes, please do.
Whew. All right, dear Lord, you knew I do not want to be up here today, Lord. I begged and pleaded not to be here today, Lord, but you told me I had to be. So please, slow down this racing heart of mine. Open it up to the words you want me to have to say. And I don't feel like I'm an influencer, but hope I can be an inspirer today. That the words I have to say are yours, not mine, and that they make a difference today, Lord. So please be with me for these next 15 minutes or so, and I can get through without passing out, Lord. And we pray, amen.
Amen.
Well, like I said, I'm actually terrified to be up here, dude. Like, my hands are sweaty. My back is dripping with sweat right now. I'm like nervous as can be.
You're not alone.
But you know what? I'm terrified, but I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. And my wife always tells me I got to feel my feelings. She tells me all the time. She goes, let me in right here. So I'm letting her in and all of you guys in at the same time. When Chris asked me to do this last Sunday, my first response was no, not a chance, not in this way. He goes, think about it. Like Chris always says, think about it. Take a couple days and think about it. So to be nice, I took the 2 days and thought about it. And Tuesday morning, I'm like, nope, not going to happen. Not going to happen. So I was like, I won't text him yet. It's early in the morning. So I'm like, okay. I got my workout in and I went and took a shower. So in the shower, I think to myself, okay, when I get out, I'm going to text Chris. No. Sorry, brother. I just can't do it. I know I can't. But God had different plans for me this morning. All of a sudden, as soon as I said no, I closed my eyes because I'm washing with shampoo. And all of a sudden, this popped into my head. Me and him sitting here, me wearing this exact outfit popped into my head. And I was like, and I could hear the words coming out of my mouth right then. And I could see all you guys listening to me, but I shook my head like, no, just that's a fake idea. So closed my eyes again. And once again, same image popped up again. I was like, oh, please stop this. So then the third time it popped into my head, and believe it or not, literally out loud, I said, okay, God, I get it. I'll do it. Stepped out of the shower and text Chris just 3 simple words. I'm in. That's all I did. And I said, okay, when God speaks, you got to listen, right? I can't ignore him anymore. So here I am to tell you today, I'm sure I've only told 2 people before, Chris and my wife. The only people who ever heard this before, and that's why it's scary to me, because I'm not afraid of being judged. It's just, it's hard to open up to people that you never opened up to before. And I was just trying to tell this story. My wife said, hey, what's your theme of your testimony? I'm like, I don't have a theme. What do you mean? Like a background for Microsoft Word or something? I don't know. But I was thinking about my overall arching point behind my testimony is 3 things that kept on coming to mind this past week when I was writing this was stubbornness, perseverance, and happiness. But I got a spoiler alert for you. This story has a happy ending. So, when you hear it, don't worry, it all ends up pretty good because I'm sitting here in front of you right now. So a little history. I grew up in the Midwest, in the middle of Indiana. If anyone's ever been to Indiana, it all looks the same, but Midwest, Central Indiana. Grew up like most people back in the area back then. We all went to church. I know Maine is the least church state in the United States. Well, Indiana's probably the most. There's church on every single corner. And like everybody, I went to church every Sunday morning, and I usually went every Wednesday nights for youth group as well. From my earliest moments, I can remember until high school, that's kind of how it was for me. Many of you heard me say this morning, hey, we get to be here at church today. When I was growing up, it was we had to go to church. There was a big difference there. It wasn't a choice. I had to go whether I wanted to or not. The church I went to was a large Lutheran church that actually had a high school attached to it. They just did the high school year, so it was a big enough church in this town where they actually had a high school, which they thought they were the coolest thing in the world. And of course, all the cool kids went to that church that school because they were the cool kids. It was a very formal church. You had to dress up in your Sunday best. I know you've said that before. You know, you come to church, you wear your Sunday best, you get home and change out of it. You had to say all the right things. It was more about looking the part than actually being the part. We sang songs from the hymnals. So if you guys remember those, you open up the hymnals to, the hymnal, Jeff saying, yes, you remember the hymnals, had to sing those. And the pastor preached, goodness, back then, like Kevin times, hour and a half every week, man. It was nuts. Sorry, Kevin. I see you back there, brother. I'm sorry, man. But, most of the kids that went to church also attended the high school. Of the group of us, only myself and two other boys actually went to the public high school. Because of that, we were judged pretty harshly. The public high school wasn't a bad high school. It just wasn't the church school. I was told all the time that the public school was evil and full of sinners, that nothing good comes out of that high school. I was told my education was subpar and I was heading down the wrong path. This is by people in the church. It wasn't by anybody else. It's people in the church. I was told literally every single Sunday I should try to be more like the kids at the church high school, and the people were praying for me to be like that. So guess what? I decided to hang out with the kids from the church just to kind of see what they were doing. I had to stop, though, because you know why? They were doing drugs, drinking alcohol, having sex, using foul language, stealing, stuff like that. All the things I was doing, all the things I wasn't doing. I wasn't doing those things, but I was accused of doing. So, of course, as a 16, 17, 8-year-old kid, I was confused. I went to church. I knew right from wrong based on what the pastor was preaching. But all the adults and the church leaders told me that I had to be more like those bad kids in my mind, And I always thought, did they really know what was going on and just look the other way? Or were they just oblivious to all those actions? After a while, it didn't really matter to me. The inevitable happened. I graduated high school, went off to college, and I stopped going to church. When I say I stopped going to church, I mean I literally stopped going to church. I didn't go to church again for 14 years. So, so I graduated as 18, so I didn't go to again until I was 32 years old. Why would I go, right? If God thinks those are the good kids, those are good examples, and those church leaders are spreading the word of God, I wanted nothing to do with that. I mean, I just thought I had my own morality compass, and, I just didn't match up, and I decided that's not worth it. So this is where the stubbornness steps in, and it's not stubbornness from me, because anybody who knows me knows I'm stubborn. Don't you laugh too hard over there. But it's from God. 3 different times. Did my mic just? Oh, okay, that went out. Okay. 3 different times, I look back and I think that God just kind of smacked me up the side of the head and said, "Hey, dummy, I got your back. I love you. Come back to me." But I wouldn't listen. Of course I would not listen. Why would I? That'd be way too easy, right? So I got through college and I was then on my own, starting my new career. I was a young kid, no commitments, making good money and living just outside of Chicago. Chicago's a big city if you've ever been there, so it's definitely a home for the heathens, So I got into running. I really got into it, man. I started running every day before and after work. Then I had this crazy idea to run a half marathon. Yeah, 13.1 miles. Don't forget that 0.1. That 0.1 is very important. So I did run the half marathon. I did, and I loved it. Then I had a friend tell me, of course, what all friends say after a half marathon. What? You should run a full marathon. And a full marathon is 26.2 miles, twice the distance. And they said it's a cinch. If you can do 13, you can do 26. It's just a word of advice for all you non-runners out there. It is not easy. And even when it tells you to do that, they're crazy. Don't be friends with them. Walk away, because it is not that easy. So crazy me, I ran the Chicago Marathon the very first time. I ended up running it 3 different times. But this first time I ran it, it's not even a word, run it. I would better say that I survived it more than I actually finished it. The old saying is, it doesn't matter how you finish, it's that you finish. And this is one of those times. I mean, I was running in trail shoes instead of street shoes. I was overdressed. I had way too many clothes on because it was cold in October in Chicago. Underhydrated. I didn't have any music going on. I had really no idea what I was doing. So I got to mile 24, and that's when my legs cramped up like bad. If you ever had those cramps like in the middle of the night, we wake up, you got the Jimmy leg, and you're just I couldn't move. I couldn't walk. I just sat down on the side of the road and just sat there. I'm thinking, I got 2.2 more miles to go. How am I going to get there? Because it's not like I could call a taxi. It's not like, there's nothing I could do. I mean, there's 30,000 people running this race, and I'm sitting and my legs won't move at all. So this is 4 years after I left the church. I did something I hadn't done in 4 years. I prayed. A simple, I hadn't been to church. I hadn't prayed or anything in 4 years, but for some reason I was like, I'm just going to pray right now. I said a simple prayer. I said, God, I'm hurting. Can you please get me through this? And so up to this point, I've been running for a little over 4 hours. I had talked to no one. No one had talked to me at all. But as soon as I lifted my head up and I finished praying, some guy ran up to me and said, "Hey, man, I'm hurting. You want to run with me till the end? You might be able to help me get me through this." And so I'm looking at him. I'm like, okay, this is God smacking me in the head for the first time. Like, "Hey, listen, buddy." He says, "Sure, why not? Let's hurt together." I mean, you know what? As soon as I stood up, I didn't hurt at all. The cramping had stopped. I felt fresh in the head in the entire race. Nothing in my body hurt whatsoever. We talked the last 2.5 miles to the very end. We talked, we laughed. And when I finished, no pain afterwards, no cramping, nothing, no blisters, no chafing, nothing. We even hugged it out and I said, "Thanks, man." I said, "I couldn't have done it without you." So, like I did, I took down you wear a bib when you run. He gave me his name. To this day, I can't remember his name. But I took down his number and his name, and I said, "I'm going to look you up afterwards to see how he finished." Just to see how we both did, because competitive in me, I wanted to see, how he did. But this is the God part that really got me, was the guy didn't exist. His bib number didn't show up. His name didn't show up, and that's just doesn't happen. I mean, it doesn't happen. I still can't explain it to this day. I kind of think to this day it's still an angel error running with me, because I've never had that happen to this day before. I couldn't tell you what the guy looked like. I just didn't know he had blonde hair. That's all I can remember from that day. So guess what? God helped me out at that time, showed me some miracles. So I did what most people did when something like that really, really happens. I started drinking, doing drugs, and if my daughter's listening right now, earmuffs, honey, I enjoyed the company of women after this. So sorry, honey, I told you you hear things you didn't want to hear today. I'm sorry. So I thought I was invincible, man. I mean, I didn't have to go to church at all. All I had to do was say a little prayer, and God had my back. Life was great, or so I thought. So after some time, I quit my job. I moved away and decided that, I wasn't doing enough. I needed to do harder drugs than I was used to. Cocaine and I became really good friends for quite a while. Up to this time frame, over the next few years was pretty dark for me. I didn't sleep. I was up all night. I never ate. I was in very unhealthy relationships. I was working just to feed my habit pretty much every single day. And I was alienating myself from all my friends and my loved ones. Then on January 21st, 2006, that's, 20 years ago, a day happened that you'd think would change my life forever. It did, but not the way it should have. I was broke. I was living with my sister, and she wanted me to move out because of my bad habits. And at the time, I thought she was crazy. But looking back at it, I probably would have kicked myself out long before she did. I was sickly to look at. If you look at me now, I was probably 30 pounds lighter back then than I am right now. Wasn't in the healthiest place. The girl I was dating, who was also the one that was feeding me most of my drugs, got pregnant. That morning on the 21st, she and I went to the local clinic and had an abortion. That really affected me more than I ever thought it could. Not that I wanted a baby or I thought I could handle a baby, but is realizing the magnitude of the decisions that we had just made. That's a tough for me to say, but it's important because after that morning, I decided that the 21st would be my last. I think there was a reason to go on. So that day, I went out and bought as much cocaine as I possibly could. Is this going out a lot? No. Is it? Okay. Can we keep going, or should we change our mind? Okay. So I bought an entire bottle of sleeping pills, 100 to be precise, and I grabbed a knife. I took down the drugs in record time, faster and quicker than I ever done before in my life. I ended up taking about 90 of the pills, 90 of the 100. But I decided if that wasn't going to work, I had one other thing I could do. I could slit my wrists. So I made that first cut. It wasn't deep enough. I made the second cut. It still wasn't deep enough. The sleeping pills by this time were kicking in pretty hard. Trying to stay awake was tough. But then that third cut came, and that third cut's what did it. That third cut was deep. I felt my body go numb. I felt my body go cold, and I saw the dark crimson blood flow from my wrist. I did it. Mission accomplished. So, guys, I didn't die. I'm here. So don't want to put you guys in that true seat here. God moment number 2 is when he smacked me. And I like to think about it when he did this. I hear him saying, "Hold my beer. I got this." So I woke up in a hospital alone, confused, thinking, how am I here? I shouldn't be here. How was I alive? Did I not do enough here? That third cut should have done the trick. I know it. So they had me bandaged up. I took the bandage off my wrist. There was only 2 cuts there. There wasn't the third. I looked again. There was 2 cuts there. To this day, there's still 2 cuts there. I know I made 3. That third one gushed. That third one flowed, but it wasn't there. So yeah, God did something there that I can't explain. Now, you think, once again, I'm stubborn here. You think that would cause me to run back to God, right? And believe in the church again. But it didn't. But what it made me do, it made me smile again. For the first time in months, I smiled. I'm alive. I was alive. I wasn't sure how, but I knew despite what others thought of me, many people close to me were ashamed of me. Told me I'd do it again. Wouldn't talk to me. Were embarrassed by me. But I knew I could turn my life around. I didn't want to listen to them. But I can say since that day, I have been clean. Haven't touched that since then. I dumped the girlfriend, which is probably the best move ever to get rid of her. Thank you. I got back to running. I started eating healthy again. Eventually, I got another career going. So, amen. That ended up happening, good right there. So twice now I've experienced God's grace and still haven't changed my stance on the church. I'm stubborn, right? God's stubborn. He's not giving up on me. Had I learned my lesson? I hadn't yet, because the story wouldn't be any good if I'd learned it yet. But this last Godsmack moment is a little happier and brighter than the last ones. I know the last one was kind of dark, but it was very important. I know when Chris and I talked, I wasn't sure if I was going to put that last part in. And Chris said, do what you feel is best. And when I wrote this on Friday night, the story isn't good without that part. So I'm not ashamed of it. It's just a very difficult part to say. So I told you God was stubborn. This is God's moment of perseverance with me. So fast forward about 7 years, and I'm married to my wonderful wife, Emily, and I have a young, vibrant 2-year-old daughter that lights up my entire world when she runs to me and asks for a hug and says, Daddy. Doesn't do that anymore. She's a teenager. It's embarrassing. But when she was 2, it was amazing. I'm healthy. I am clean. I got a good job. I'm working out. I got good friends. But I'm empty inside. But guess what? I know I'm empty inside. That's what's key. My wife, if nothing else, is persistent and constant. She was urging me, begging me, almost pleading with me to go to church with her. But I made up every excuse in the book not to go. I even made sure I worked every Sundays. I worked in a restaurant. So Sunday mornings in restaurants are busy. Not a hard thing to do. So by a miracle or an act of God, which by now I should know is an act of God, I had a Sunday morning off and decided after 14 years I would finally walk back into a church with Emily and actually my family at the time who was going there. Hermitage Hills Baptist Church, Nashville, Tennessee, was what I feel is God's vessel to change me. You ever watch one of those movies where happy music plays when you see something good happening, or you see a slow motion memories in the back? That's kind of how I felt when I walked in this church for the first time. It just felt right being in that church. I felt a sense of belonging as soon as I walked in. I felt like all the sins and bad things I had didn't matter, and I hadn't felt that in years. People were not in their Sunday best, and no one cared. The music was modern with a band and no hymnals, no hymnal books. Woohoo! That was awesome, The preacher, Polly Rouse, with his shiny bald head and perfectly white goatee, was jumping around the stage, telling funny stories and having a good time. And I thought to myself, this is what church is like. I mean, how long has this been like this? What have I been missing that this is what church is now like? So after that day, I never worked a Sunday morning again after that. We joined a Connect group right after that, where we developed some great friends and some bonds. I was shown up really what a Christian could be, and it was actually fun. I always thought being a Christian was like dorky and you couldn't do anything fun. But this group showed me otherwise. But still, I hadn't given my life over to Christ yet, because God had one more trick up his sleeve to push me over the edge. This is the part I haven't gotten through yet. So I gotta be strong here. I practiced this many times. I couldn't get through without crying, so I'm gonna try to this time. But one Sunday, the church had a theme is wear your favorite sports jersey to church, and I didn't because I was used to Sunday bests, right? But I had a Peyton Manning jersey, one from the Denver Broncos, that I was really excited to wear because he'd signed there the year before. I was like, this is a brand new jersey. He's from, he went to school in Tennessee. I wanted to wear it. But I didn't because I thought people would make fun of me. Because I thought, well, why is this dork wearing a football jersey to church? You don't do that. So after our Connect group met before church, because we used to meet before church, then you'd go to church afterwards. One of the leaders, Melody Lee, so if she's watching this one day, Melody, thank you so much for this, came up to me and said, what's wrong? And of course, me being me, I said, nothing, leave me alone. But Melody knew that's not what wasn't going to work. She was like a big sister to me and wouldn't let me get away with that. I told her that I was too embarrassed to wear a jersey. Okay. I was too embarrassed to wear it. So she looked me straight in the eye and said, you tell me the day you wear it, and I'll wear one with you. Then she hugged me, told me she loved me. Almost got there. Almost got through it. So I lost it. When she hugged me, I lost it. I said, this is what church is supposed to be like, right? So the very next day, I'm driving to work because I drove around for work, and I heard this song. Okay, I'm good. I'm good.
Right.
Thank you, brother. I love you, man. I heard this song, This Blood by Prestonwood Worship. I think it's been done by many people, but it's called This Blood by Prestonwood Worship. Came on the radio. And so I pulled over on the side of the road to listen to it. I just started crying. And they weren't sad tears. They were happy tears. Like, these aren't sad tears now. These are happy tears because this moment changed my life. But there's lyrics at the very end of the song that said, but in 3 days, he breathed again and rose to stand in my defense. So I come to tell you he is alive, to tell you that he dries every tear that falls. And so the picture in my head was just God standing there in front of me with a shield just saying, nothing's going to happen today to you. I got you, you know? And right then and there in my car, I gave my life to Christ in I-40 in Nashville, Tennessee. A month later, I was baptized with my entire group of Connect people, about 30 of us standing there to watch me do that. So, you know, that's the happy moment I promised you a little bit ago. So I am a slow learner, and I'm stubborn one at that. But God had a plan for me, and he stuck with it. What I know is I'm not perfect by any means. I was a sinner. I still sin every day because I'm human, right? But I do know that the church is just a building, but the people inside the church that make it what it is, right? So I always encourage people to invite that person that doesn't go to church, because 14 years I didn't go, and I had someone like Emily who just wouldn't give up on me, who brought me into the church and made it what it is for me. God still has to smack me sometimes in the head to let me know that he's there with me. I don't ever take him for granted, because my story is one that's developed who I am today, and I don't regret a moment of it. So thank you for listening to me, and I hope I didn't ramble too much.